ahead and just hop back in the flight deck and tune in LAX Center on, let's see here, 125.8.
Yeah, let me know which routing you want to take, and your squawk code will be 7230 for flight following.
Los Angeles Center, good afternoon. It's WestJet 2154, flight level 350.
WestJet 2154, Los Angeles Center, good morning, squawk 7305.
Sorry, you said 7305 for WestJet 2104?
That's affirmative, 7305.
7305 coming up, WestJet 2154.
American 56 Juliet, descend via the Angel 4 arrival.
This should have been off a long time ago.
American 56 Juliet, descend via the Angel 4 arrival. WestJet 2154, radar contact 75 miles north of the Kingman VOR.
WestJet 2154, that checks, and request a step climb, flight level 370.
WestJet 2154, step climb, flight level 370.
Climb 370, thank you, WestJet 2154. Alright, so as you guys can see, we got back in the flight deck. We had Los Angeles Center pop up here a little unexpectedly. Not a problem at all. I just was making some lunch, so saw that they hopped online. We got back in the flight deck here, and I'm going to have to step away in a second to finish making that lunch, but we got our step climb going up to 350 or 370 here now. And otherwise, everything else looks good. We still got about 1,000 pounds in the center tank, so we still got about 10-15 minutes before we burn off all the fuel in the center tank there. But we did get some Los Angeles Center. It can't have been on there for all that long, because I was checking it periodically to see who was there. And that's the most important thing, is you do have to check it periodically. Oh, we are like halfway through his center. Very good. But you do have to check it periodically just to make sure that you know, nobody is logging in when you're away from the flight deck. So if you do step away from the flight deck, it's fine. But just make sure you're monitoring it periodically, so that when someone does want to get a hold of you, when someone does log on, when they want to call you, that they can get a hold of you. Because I see lots of times, I see people step out of the flight deck for sometimes hours at a time, and they'll fly completely through an entire sector, and they'll never talk to anybody, despite repeated requests. There, that's good. Were they out before? No, I think they were on it. Anyways, alright, so we're almost at 370. I'm going to step away for a second here just to check on the lunch, because you can't just leave it unattended cooking forever. Did I dump Travis out the back to get my ATC? Yes. I decided I don't want Travis around anymore. What just happened there? It just got super quiet there. Why did it get super quiet? Weird.
6 Echo Hotel, go ahead. Yeah, actually, you'll proceed direct west at or below.
That's weird. That for some reason it dumped my speed on, or dumped my volume on everything.
6 Echo Hotel, copy. And you're going to air taxi. Are you sitting on the ramp, or are you at a helipad?
That is weird. Suddenly dumped all my
Echo Hotel.
audio there. That's weird. I've had that happen a couple of times now, where the volume control will suddenly kick out in Windows. I suddenly dump the volume on a whole bunch of different things all at once. Alright, so there we are. We're level at 370. She's established. I'm just going to step away for 3 seconds to just check on the meal, and I'll be... Alright, there you go. As you can tell, I got back there just to check, make sure. Don't want to burn the lunch.
Echo Hotel.
We are back in the flight deck. We're not going to be in this airspace for very long, so I think we'll be able to probably just about stick around
Fly west, paralleling
until he dumps us onto Unicom, and then we'll be able to step away again
50 feet to the coastline.
and go and have our lunch.
At or below 5050.
Yeah, we are pretty much like less than 5 minutes away from leaving the airspace, so. Unexpected, but pleasant. Unfortunately, very short-lived. How many more sectors do we go through?
Hotel 6 Echo Hotel. That's until you're clear of the Bravo airspace.
And I'm just trying to see here. Why does it keep doing this? Why does my volume control keep zapping everything down? Okay, back over to Unicom 122.8, WestJet 2154. Thanks for the service. Have a good day. Alright, well that was short-lived, but anyways. Now we can say we had ATC. I don't know why my audio keeps dropping here. It's very annoying. Keeps on dropping the volume on a whole bunch of stuff on my mixing board here, which is really weird. So we're going to try and get that out of the way so it doesn't get clicked on accidentally. I don't think I'm clicking it accidentally. Maybe I am. Anyways, we got the step climb in there. We've crossed through LAX Center. I think we just left the Grand Canyon behind there a little while ago. Let's go see here. That might even be some of the southern reaches of the Grand Canyon. Let's see if I can match this up to where we are here. No, we're quite far past the Grand Canyon. We covered across the Grand Canyon over here. So they are some pretty canyons, but they're definitely not part of the Grand Canyon itself. Not much else out here right now. It's kind of a little bit desolate, deserty. There's some roads crossing through here. We are going to cross almost right over Phoenix here in about 50 miles. One of these valleys up here will have Phoenix in it. And then we're off into Mexico. And I don't know how many sectors we have in Mexico that we have to cross. Let's see here. And then I think we just have, so we're into Albuquerque Center. When we get into Mexico, we pretty much just have one. Mazatlan FIR would cover us all the way from the U.S.-Mexico border all the way to Puerto Vallarta. And Puerto Vallarta is literally the southern extremity of their control, but we would just have one more sector. So maybe they'll come online. I haven't seen them online a whole lot, but you see them online once in a while. Keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we will get some ATC, but I'm not gonna you know, hope and pray for it. Anyways, it's if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, so be it. Yeah. So there we go, carrying on. Phil, are you flying right now? Where are you flying to? I thought I saw your I saw you marked as online in my Sim Toolkit Pro here. I have the home screen again here. Dashboard. Nope, you're offline after all. And there's been some stuff here announced the last couple days here, even just in the last couple minutes. Simwing releases Hamburg for MSFS. Orbex announces Landmarks Frankfurt for MSFS. So there's still stuff coming down the pipeline. The weekend was very slow for flights and news. Nothing much at all happened on the weekend. But there's the Hamburg airport, and that looks pretty darn good too. And it's not just the buildings itself and the structures, but it's the clutter around that really kind of makes an airport and makes it feel like it's alive. If you have a building with nothing on the ground near it, it becomes very sterile. The buildings are accurate, yes, and you believe that you're there, but without vehicles and various things, tow bars and baggage carts and whatnot lying around the airport, it doesn't feel like it's real. But you start throwing things like tugs, people, and baggage carts there, and it really starts to add to it. Love the wet pavement effects. They are really quite something there. And all of this stuff is built right into the sim. The nice thing is that the developers can take advantage of it, but it's built right into the sim. They don't have to do a whole lot of work to take advantage of these things like wet pavement effects, things like that. So, Lufthansa Technique. it is really quite astonishing to see what these developers can do. One of the things that I really wish they would try and fix soon, though, is the fact that the runway lights and taxiway lights are on day and night, all the time. If there's a runway light at that runway, it's on 24/7, and it's a little bit frustrating because that's not the case. Nobody could afford that electricity bill if they were on all the time, and it's not terribly risky. Again, it makes the airports too easy to spot. A few packs laying around the place. That's one of the things that's missing from most simulated airports is packs in the terminal to see you lying around. But yeah, removing some of the lighting during the nighttime would be great as well. I mean, or during the daytime would be great as well. And the thing is, you need it there for when it's low visibility. But I find the sim does a very good job of sort of dividing low visibility and changing the whole overall lighting effect. So I wonder if they could link when the lights go on just to the overall light level in the sim. So if the visibility drops to a couple miles in fog like this, the lights will come on because of the lighting level is a little bit lower than it would be otherwise. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, like, there's two reasons why you'll turn the runway lights on. One, because it's dark. Two, because of low visibility. So you could have them come on for either of those two reasons. If the visibility is below a certain factor, or the time of day is below a certain point, then the lights come on. Those are the two reasons. But because that was one of the problems with P3D, is that the lights most airports would not come on during the day if it was IFR, and so you'd be shooting this approach down to minimums with no approach lighting on. So I'd like to see more of that kind of come around. Let's see, I think this is the valley here where Phoenix is located, so we're almost there. And we're just waiting for this center tank to run dry, 90 pounds left in it. And then we're going to go check on our lunch again. Probably pull it out of the oven and step away from the flight deck again for another little bit while we eat, and otherwise get ready. There's the first one. The left tank is dry, or the left pump is run dry anyways in the center tank, I should say. And we have 2 hours to go. 16:11, ETA 18:11 down there. So we are 2 hours left to go on this flight. We're more than halfway there, or just over halfway there. Our lunch. What? If you want to come over, I have some leftover steak. It is nice that the weather has gotten warm enough. It's barbecue season early this year. I feel like it really, like, the weather warmed up, mellowed out enough early on that we've already got our full patio furniture set out there. This is probably, we brought them out last week, probably the earliest we've ever taken all that stuff out. We often don't bring it out till like May, but this year it's just been yes, just shove your steak through the mask, it'll be fine. But it's nice to have that ability. I miss barbecuing in the winter. I mean, we could do it. The barbecue's just on our deck. It sits out all winter long, but it's a lot of work just getting boots on to get across the deck to get the bloody barbecue turned on and everything else like that. And then half the time you can't even get it up. If it's cold enough and windy enough, you can't even get it up to high enough temperature to cook, even if you turn on all the grills. So you can't even maintain a high enough temperature in the barbecue to cook. So I do miss that. We've had hamburgers a couple times now. We just had steak for the first time. What kind of Canadian are you? I am a wimpy Canadian. I hibernate during the winter. I'm a polar bear. I just hibernate all winter long. I only come out when it's warm. Any second now, that right tank's gonna run dry. Yeah, so we're coming over the Phoenix metro area out there now. And about to leave America behind us. Then we just got 2 hours of flying through Mexico to get to Puerto Vallarta. That's why I like these Puerto Vallarta flights. I like the warm weather. Let's go lie on the beach, have a couple of drinks, have a barbecue down there. That'd be nice. You know, it says the tank is empty, but somehow that pump is still scavenging some fuel. Don't know where it's getting it from, but it's still scavenging some fuel out there. Alright, one thing before I do step away here as well, I just want to check and verify that I do have altitudes on the arrival here. So once we start the OBRUG, we got flight level 230 or above, 13,000 and below, 5,500. Yeah, so we got all those waypoints. We got the altitude restrictions in there, so that'll give us a good descent profile here. And we're looking for top of descent at 1750, 794 nautical miles. So we definitely want to be in here before that. Whoa. Alright, let's bring that speed back a little bit here. We'll just switch it to altitude hold mode here. And bring that speed back a little bit here. Because we're starting to get bounced around a little bit here. Alright, there goes the fuel tank right there. Good thing I was sitting here to watch this. Getting into some turbulence up here. Alright, seatbelt signs on. And it's trying to bring the power back a little bit to get it down to the target here of 0.79, but not working too well here. It's getting there slowly, but it's really, it's funny, like you find like certain auto throttles, they tend to always favor being a little faster, a little slow, and this one seems to want to always be a little bit faster than the target. If it's going to err, it's going to err on the fast side. There. Now it seems to have gotten a bit comfortable there. Now it's got a comfortable margin, so that's the other trouble with flying the red line, is the second it does get turbulent, especially if it's unexpected, you're suddenly overspeeding the airplane. Now we got 0.79, we got a little margin there of about 0.3. That's good. That should work out pretty well. And I think that's it for me for now, because I'm going to step away to have the rest of that lunch. Yeah, so our top of descent point is going to be at 1750. I'm going to say no later than about 17:15 we're going to be back on the flight deck. So it'll be about an hour before arrival. We'll be here for that last hour. Maybe sooner if we get some ATC. You never know. Maybe Albuquerque will pop on. Maybe even Mazatlan will pop on. But if they don't, then we will be back by around 17:15 to start setting up for that arrival into Puerto Vallarta. And that is it. Actually, I don't have steak sauce today because we have some sautéed mushrooms and onions to sprinkle on it instead. So it's going to be quite tasty. Now I'm hungry. Alright, that's it. I'm out of the flight deck. I will see you guys all in about an hour, maybe a little less if anything pops up, but otherwise I'll be here. You're going to log in somewhere just to screw up my lunch. Oh, I hope you're not checked out in Albuquerque or Mazatlan. That's all I can say. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it. And I will be back within the hour to set up for our arrival into Puerto Vallarta. Thanks for watching, guys, and stick with the stream. Alright guys, welcome back into the flight deck. Captain Abs is back with you once again for last segment down here, heading into oops, sorry, and I got my volume up there on my monitoring device there. For the last leg down into Puerto Vallarta. So we are about an hour away from touchdown now, unless things have gone terribly awry here. So let's hop into the flight deck, really, because we've been out of it for about an hour. Let's make sure we know what's going on here. So we've got, let's see here, we seem to be still on course. We've got an arrival time of 1811 Zulu still with 8.4 in the tanks. We got 11.8 right now. Seem to still be level at 370. Still got the Mach number back to 0.79. A little bit of light chop now, but it's not as bad as it was. So let's just check and see what's the proposed cruise Mach number here. Let's try 80 and just see if that's comfortable at all. At this point, not going to make too much of a difference. We've got less than an hour to go, so tinkering with the Mach number by small decimals is probably not going to make too much of a difference at the end of the day. But we're going to see what we can do here. That's a nice hot coffee now, and I'm refreshed and ready to get back in the flight deck here. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me as always. Appreciate it, and let's get this show on the road. I don't believe we have any ATC. Let's just check my V-pilot here. Nope. V-pilot is blank. Nothing much happening there, so unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Alright, so what we're going to start doing is we're going to start setting up for arrival into Puerto Vallarta, because it's going to happen soon. We're going to have to start down soon, so let's get everything all buttoned up and ready to go here. So the wind's 207, so same as we did last week, we're going to do the RNAV to runway 22. So let's get, first of all, first thing is performance. Let's go to landing data, en route, and we can copy FMC data, runway 22. There you go, MPR is already in there, perfect. It's a beautiful, clear day there, scattered at 25,000, so we're going to assume the runway is dry. And let's get some winds in there, 0 at 0. It's a beautiful day, 26 degrees with a QNH of 29.88. And while we're at it, let's just set 29.88 here on the altimeter so that when the time comes, we're ready to switch over. 2988, perfect. Alright, reverse config. So we're going to plan a no reverse landing at flap 30, and then we will use the reverse, but it just will just getting better performance. This is sort of a worst case performance scenario here. Auto brake number 2, and let's set that as well. And there is no non-normal conditions. And last but not least, we need a landing weight here. So let's see here, 129,000 for our landing weight today. So 129,000. Calculate. Alright, so VREF of 30 plus 5 is 145, which means VREF is 140, which is exactly what it's saying for flap 30 over here. So let's copy that into our FMC as well, so that the number shows up in the bottom corner of the PFD there, and we have a reminder. Landing distance required, even with no reverse, requires 7,300 feet. Landing distance available is over 10,000. So barring any crazy NOTAMs that change anything, we are looking good. Speaking of crazy NOTAMs that change things, let's look at the NOTAMs before we get too much further into this, just to make sure there's nothing that's going to change what we're currently planning. So NOTAMs for MMPR Alpha between Golf 22 close. That's the one I talked about before. The threshold of runway 22 you can't get to by the taxiway. You have to either backtrack the runway or depart from the intersection. 422 is closed from 4:30 to 1100 Zulu daily, so it's closed at night time, but it's well outside of those hours right now, 1722 Zulu, so we're good. So I don't see any issues with what we're planning here, so let's go ahead and set this all up. So let's pull up the terminal charts here. I don't know why this doesn't have the charts from before. I had them loaded before. Alright, let's go MMPR. And what's weird here is it doesn't seem to find seems to be having problems loading the charts. Let's restart the EFB, because it seemed to have a little issue there. It was not finding any of the charts. It's loading all the functions. Okay, so let's go terminal chart again. Aha. And it wants me to log in here. It's being a pain in the butt, too. There. Now, we should be able to get it to work. Alright, let's scroll through because I was typing. Okay, so use airports from FMS. There we go. Now we've got some airports. Alright. So, we're going to be doing the Obrug 1 Bravo arrival. And approaches, we're going to be doing the RNAV to runway 22. Complete. And I notice there's a fault in the corner there. Alright, that's weird. It keeps on kind of coming and going here. I haven't seen that before. Don't know why that's doing that. Let's see, complete. Okay, that's better. Need the airport diagram as well. I don't know why that unchecked itself there, but it seemed to, so there we go. Okay. Now we got everything we need. So the RMP 22, if we were to do LNAV minimums on the RMP, it's 720. That's what I'm really looking for here, first of all. 720 for the minimums. So fast forward it up from 200 to 720. Na 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 na. A little too far, but not too bad. There we go, 720. Okay, so we got 720 set there, and that's it. Our transition was MUVBA, which I'm pretty sure was what I had in there. Let's just check the logs page and make sure we got the transition in there correctly. MUVBA to 407, and that's all in there. Okay, and then so let's go back and let's also check the star and just make sure everything is in there that should be there on the star. Star, and this is fairly straightforward, but it's Obrug, flight level 230, 668 below 13,000, then it's MUVBA 220 knots above 55. So MUVBA 220 above 55, PR 668 13,000 below 230 and above at Obrug, and that's what it says. Okay, perfect. So it looks like we got all of our data programmed in there. I think we're just about ready for the approach briefing. And actually, before I have a chance to forget, I'm just going to pull up my FS2 crew here and input my approach information here. So arrival procedure star, approach type, RNP, flaps 30, bleeds on, final approach, fixed altitude. Let's go back to the chart page here for a second. Let's just put in this data here. So 1700. At the final approach, the missed approach altitude is 720. And sorry, the minimums are 720, and the missed approach altitude is 6,000. Runway conditions dry, auto brake 2 as the XCS, and then taxi no, gate stand. Gate, APU's delayed, concerns none, final sector no. Alright, I think we got it all in there. Alright. Take one quick sip of my coffee and then we'll be ready for our approach briefing here. Give me one moment, I'll just get that organized. Okay, so we're going to get this organized here. Let's get that. Let's pause this so that this is not constantly moving while we're doing this. And let's go ahead and bring up the FMS as well so we can follow along in the FMS. And then we got everything we need here, I believe. Alright, so the speeds are in and the distances are checked. We're doing, first of all, it's the Obrug 1 Bravo arrival into Puerto Vallarta. This is on plate. There it goes. Plate 10-2. She's been a little bit slow for some reason there. 31st of May of 2019, notes RNAV 1, altitude is in inches, and transition levels flight level 195. From Obrug, continue to the waypoints, altitudes and tracks shown on the corresponding instrument approach specs, and continue on approach procedure or according to ATC instructions. So all the instructions say is follow what's published on here. Okay, so starting at Obrug. Again, at or above flight level 230, we go to PR668 below 13,000. Then we go to MUVBA, max 220 knots at or above 5,500. And that's where the approach commences. It's pretty straightforward. I should have asked this guy. Are you ready for the approach briefing?
I'm ready for the brief.
Wrong chart. My bad. This one. RNAV runway 22, RNAV RNP runway 22 into Puerto Vallarta, 12-2, 20th of March of 2019. So it's RNAV, no frequencies required. Final approach course inbound will be 220, and you can see that here, 219. That's within a margin of error. Minimum altitude at PR404 is 1700, and the LNAV MDA is 720, and I'm pretty sure we did set that there. Yeah, we did. Let's see here. Runway is at 23 feet, and the MSA is highest southeast of the runway, but there's high terrain really in all sectors. If we have to do anything, it's best to go west. The highest sector altitude is 11,200. From the direction we're going to be approaching from, more or less, it's going to be 8,600 the sector altitude. So we got to stick to this procedure here once we get below 8,600, or we might hit some high terrain out here. Let's see. Missed approach, climb on runway track to PR557. And then proceed to the missed approach altitude. Proceed on the missed approach to VIMSO and hold at 6,000. So straight ahead to 557 at a max 200 knots, excuse me, and hold at VIMSO at 6,000. So we got both those things in there. That looks good. And again, the waypoints starting at MUVBA, we have PR407 at or above 4,000. MUVBA's at or above 5,500, max 220 knots, which is the same as what it says on the star. PR405 should be 2,800 max, and PR404 should be 1,700. So there we go. So, and max 200 knots at 404. In reality, we're going to be going slower than that. By then, we're going to want to have the gear extended and everything. So, yeah, that's the whole approach. It's a 3.1 degree glide path down, rills with pappies on the left, and again, straight ahead initially to PR557 for our missed approach. We need at least 2 miles visibility to do this approach for Category C aircraft today. And I think that's about it. So landing, there's we can only turn left off the runway. So convenient left turn. We're probably going to make Charlie. If we miss Charlie, we'll just make a left turn on the next high-speed Bravo, and then Alpha back to the apron. And let's pick a gate today. And I wonder if this flight number even has a gate in FlightAware. So I'm going to pull up FlightAware. If you'll permit me 1 second, and let's just check and see if there's a gate. For WestJet 2154. Cancelled. Yeah. No flights in the last 14 days. The last time it was supposed to fly, it was cancelled, which was on the 31st of January, so it doesn't have gate information for that day. So that's all I have, so I don't know. So we'll just have to pick a gate at random. I'm going to pick something down in here so that we actually have a jet bridge for once. So I'm going to say pick gate. I'm going to say pick gate 6 will be our arrival gate. So let's do that. Let's do gate 6 for our arrival gate. And I might even just double check, because I think I keep on picking gate 6, and I think it's not where I think it is when we get there. The marshallers are not where they are. So one thing I do like to use, a useful little tool. I don't use most of the functions in it, but one thing that the little nav map is really great for is it reads your scenery and will show you what the parking positions are in the scenery. So if I pull up a little nav map here, and it's got me right here, but what I can do is I can scroll down to the destination here of Puerto Vallarta, and when you zoom in close to the airports, it actually shows you the parking positions as they are read from your file. read from your scenery files. So this actually will analyze your scenery files when you first load it or when you first run it, and will analyze everything from your scenery files. So yeah, gate 6 should work. I saw it was in the corner there, so that should be fine. I don't run this most of the time. It's got tons and tons of information. It's really fantastic mapping software, but I find I don't use it. It's almost too much information sometimes. But there's lots of good information there. But one thing is, it does read your scenery library and can see where the park positions are. Yes, really quick. So we're going to park over here at what is supposed to be gate 6. And that is basically all I've got for the charts. Terrain again. High terrain, all sectors around Puerto Vallarta, so we've got to be careful. If anything, we turn west and head for the Atlantic, or head for the Pacific, I should say. Head for the ocean. Head for the ocean. You know, we can clear terrain over the ocean, because there is no terrain over the ocean. Weather is looking beautiful, should not be an issue. Operational, I didn't see any NOTAMs that affect our arrival. There's no MELs, the aircraft is functioning 100% normally, and fuel, we needed 5... What do we need to get to our alternate here? Let's just recheck the number, because it's been a while since we did it. We needed 5.6 to get to our alternate of GDL, whatever that is. I'm not familiar with Mexican airports, honestly. So 5.6, we're 10.5 right now, and we're showing 8.4 when we get there, according to the prog page. So we should have sufficient fuel with about 3 tons to spare. So we could probably hold for about 40-45 minutes, or definitely do a go around without having to worry about cutting into our alternate fuel. And that's about all I got. Any questions? You're a man of many words. Wow, he's so verbose. Alright, but there we are. So now we're all set up. We've still got about 140 miles till our top of descent point, but I like to get set up early. I find so many of my streams, I miscalculate the descent points, and then I'm not set up, and I'm rushing to set up at the last minute, and that's not the responsible way to fly. If there's one thing I am, it's a responsible pilot. So there we go. So now we're on our way. Like I said, we got about 40 minutes till we land there in Puerto Vallarta to pull up to the gate, and another leg of my pilot's life career will be done. Let's see. Anything exciting happened? I was looking through the news. Even then, I didn't see anything terribly exciting or new or special. Oh, somebody posted, I think. Somebody posted, where did they post it? That there was a pictures anyways now, or a couple of pictures of the... Who posted it somewhere? I swear it was in the chat dialogue here, but I don't see it anymore. Oh yeah, there it is. There's pictures of the helicopter flight in this video. So let's see if we can bring up that video. There it is. I knew you posted something somewhere. If I can find it. Just trying to Google it because the link is faded out because I closed the chat for a second. So, here we go. It's my choice. Lordy, Lord, Lord. Just assume I don't want any cookies at all. Just assume I don't want any of those. Yes, I've done that before, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, so there we go. There's the NASA helicopter making the historic first flight on Mars. Looking at people and their videos. I'm just interested in that. I just think it's really neat. There we go. It looks so small and just helpless. Lost in the middle of the Martian landscape. It really does. And that was it. I didn't even see anything. Didn't even see anything. Oh, there you go. It took a picture of its own shadow just to prove it was airborne. That's quite nifty, though. I mean, it's such a simple step, but it's, you know, it's a first step towards, you know, potentially exploring the planet Mars in a different way now. Being able to cover more and more ground, certainly being able to be airborne allows you different perspectives. And full disclaimer, that was not my video. Obviously, that was the Guardian video. I was just trying to share that because I thought that was really neat. Yeah, you know, it opens up all sorts of possibilities because you can do aerial reconnaissance, which can let you cover more ground, see more of the planet in one shot. You can cover ground, things, you know, obstacles that get in the way of most surface-based vehicles, mountains, hills, valleys, that sort of thing. You can just fly right over it with a chopper. So, I mean, you may only be able to conduct it in short spurts when you've charged up the batteries enough to do it, but you can cover ground and get around obstacles that may be insurmountable to a land-based rover. So it really neat, opens up some new possibilities for the future. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So that was kind of that's really neat that happened. I'm pretty stoked about that. I don't think we're going to be taking Flight Simulator to Mars anytime soon. But actually, the one thing that was really funny when I was looking at this video, just to look at this, you know, it doesn't look like that much of a foreign environment. But what it does sort of remind me of, it sort of reminds me a little bit of when in Star Wars, when the androids crashed on whichever planet it was. I can't even think of the name of the planet now, but when R2-D2 and C-3PO crashed on the planet after jettisoning in the escape pod right at the beginning of episode 4, and just walking across those sand dunes, it just sort of reminds me of that. Like, it doesn't look that otherworldly to look at it. I mean, it's obviously a pretty dry landscape, but it doesn't look that different from planet Earth, other than the fact that man has made very little impact on this landscape to date. We haven't changed the whole face of the planet like we have on planet Earth. So, but it looks like it could be an Earth desert. Just to look at it, it doesn't look that different from what we see on our planet. Anyways, just thought that was fairly neat though. What else? Getting down there, we got less than 10 tons of fuel now, just hit the 9.9 mark. We're getting there. We got about 180 miles to go here, so we're getting there pretty quickly now. One thing, let's see what else. I did get my brakes in the mail now. Not terribly exciting, but that's one thing I like to do as well, is there's certain things you can do. I like to do them myself. I like to know that they're done properly, and I like to just, it gives me a nice sense of accomplishment to do things like simpler jobs, but things like oil changes and brake jobs and things like that on a car. It gives me a sense of accomplishment. Good to know that it's been done properly. Things have not been shortcutted. Yeah, just kind of nice to do that yourself. It is just, especially because I have nothing but time now. So time is my friend. I have nothing but time, so I can spend time doing these things. But it gives me a great sense of satisfaction just to get it done. And when I was growing up, I was never much of a handy kid. I never really built too much. I was never very good at building things when I did build them. I did like building with Lego, but like when I was building kits and stuff, they never really turned out very well. But one thing that really taught me to do things for myself was aviation. I really didn't understand a lot about how vehicles functioned and stuff until I got into aviation. I started doing ground school. I started learning how your basic airplane engine works, and I learned how car engines and a lot of how cars are not that different from small aircraft in a lot of ways. They share a lot of the same functionality. Cars are usually more advanced now than general aviation aircraft with the kind of computers and technology that's in them. But the basic principles of combustion and the various systems, braking and steering and whatnot, are often very similar. So as I got into aviation and I learned more about how your basic airplane works, I began to realize how the car works. It's actually not that bad. It's not that hard to do a lot of these basic jobs. Plus, I also met quite a few mechanics along the way as I was not so much as I was getting my once I had my license and I was working as a flight instructor, especially. We were often in the hangar talking to the mechanics, and I learned a lot about. I saw a lot of airplanes in various states of disassembly, and you realize like it's a machine. Like there's certain things about it that have to work a certain way, but it's a machine. Human beings can fix it, and it used to be something like sort of I just never thought I'd be able to do. So I was kind of aviation's what taught me how to do those things, and I became a little bit more self-sufficient and able to do these things myself. So I'm happy that I got my brakes, because I changed the winter tires. Took the winter tires off about 2 weeks ago, and I noticed the front brakes on the one car were just about worn out. So time for replacement. And that's another nice thing, is that by doing certain smaller maintenance items yourself, it also encourages you to check the rest of the car and see if there's anything going wrong that needs to be fixed up. Whether it be, like I said, like changing the winter tires, it's a great chance because the wheels come off to just check the brakes and see if the brakes are worn out, see what their condition is. So the brakes are coming off, the wheels are coming off anyways. You might as well do that inspection rather than take it to a garage at some other point, pay someone else to do it, put more wear and tear on your wheels just by taking them on and off, on and off, on and off again. I mean, if you got to, you got to, but you don't want to take them on and off again more times than you really have to. That's one of the nice things about doing things yourself, is you know it's been done properly, you know how it's been done, and it's also easier to fix things and spot other things. And same thing doing stuff around the house. Remodeled our bathroom 2 years ago. I should be spending this time, I have so much time at home, I should be spending time remodeling, but unfortunately now money has become an issue just because the paychecks really shrank last year. Like by a factor of a factor of 2. Like my paycheck is basically, by the end of last year, was less than half of what I was making the year before. So it's been harder to find money for those kind of projects. Still happy to have a job, still happy to be collecting a paycheck, but it's made it a little bit tougher to get by. And kind of fortunate where we are, because we've had our house for quite a while now, and we got it before the Canadian housing market went absolutely insane. For those of you that don't live in Canada, the housing market in Canada has gone insane. Like the average house price in Canada jumped by like 30% last year, which is madness for a single year to jump 30%. If anything else, if the inflation on almost anything else was 30%, people would be through the roof. But people just smile and nod and say, "Yep, this is the housing market. This is the way it works now. It just keeps on going up and it never goes down." And it was, and it's great if you own the house, but if you're trying to get into the market, it's terrible. And it's outpacing the rate of wage growth so much now. It's unbelievable. And they were pointing out that even if they had a 30% correction this year, and 30% is a substantial correction in a housing market, it would only take it back 1 year. It would undo 1 year worth of gains, and it's been gaining 20 to 30% a year for quite a few years now. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, people who are working like high-end middle-class jobs cannot even afford to buy houses in large portions of Canada now, because it's gotten so expensive. The resale market has just gone absolutely nuts. If you are not already in the housing market, you're probably not going to get in anytime soon. They were doing a calculation on affordability, and they said that the average time it would take to save up for a down payment based on the average salary varied from city to city. But in Toronto it was I forget what it was. It was like 15 years. You'd need 15 years of savings just to save enough money to have the minimum down payment. Never mind whether or not you could even afford the house after that fact. I'm happy we got our house long before that, so we can afford the mortgage payments on it even at a lower salary for the time being. Because I couldn't even imagine trying to find the money, even if I was making what I was making before. Trying to find the money to pay the mortgage payments on our house today. Absolutely insane. Alright, 40 miles to top and drop. We are getting close now. I think what we'll do is descent. What was that other restriction? It was 14,000, right? 13,000. Let's go put in 13,000 to start here. Alright, 13,000. Let's put it in VNAV. It's pretty smooth. If it goes up to Mach 0.81, I don't think we're going to overspeed the airplane because it's pretty smooth out here now. And we're starting to see the Puerto Vallarta area come into view. So if you look way down here, Puerto Vallarta is just, the land juts out west into the ocean here, and then it swings back again a little bit to the south, and just beyond where it swings to the south. So we're actually going to fly over land in between a couple of mountains pretty much, and then hook a right turn into the valley where Puerto Vallarta's airport actually is. Got the auto brake set. You know what? We never took the seatbelts back off again when the turbulence went away. So we can take the seatbelts back off. Go ahead, go to the bathroom, folks. You got one last chance before we start our descent to Puerto Vallarta here. I feel like I've done this one more than once before, though. This is, I think, now my third time I've visited Puerto Vallarta on this pilot's life career, which for an airport that I am not based at is quite a few visits. So I think it's going to be the interesting thing is it will be applying for SkyWest. SkyWest is kind of my most favored candidate at this point, just because they have the biggest and most extensive route network out of all the CRJ operators. There's a few. I went through the list in the pilot's life. I don't think I can go through it now, can I? Because I'm not allowed to leave this page, am I? No. Please remain on the page when the flight's in progress. Let's see. Just trying to see if they have any details. 300 airlines included. Does it have a list of which airlines are included? It does not, I don't think. Oh well. One thing that is interesting though, and here it is here's the real-time map of a pilot's life. So this is all the users in a pilot's life right now who are logged in and are flying a flight, including us over here on our way down to Puerto Vallarta. So it's not a huge number of people using this app, but it's only 65 people logged in right now. It's a bit of a pity that it didn't take off more than this. I'm sometimes a little bit surprised because it really does make a really neat kind of adventure. Now this is users right now, so probably on a daily basis you get 150, 200 users perhaps. Not a huge number though. I feel like you know, they didn't ever make a whole lot of money off the software. And it's a bit of a pity because it's really neat. Like there's lots you can do with this. Let's see here. This guy's a junior first officer for Envoy, flying Chicago to Indianapolis in the CRJ-7. No surprise there, CRJ-7. Jazz, Toronto to North Bay in the CRJ-7. Pilot unknown. What else is here? Terrence McCann, junior first officer at SkyWest. There we go. Chicago to Detroit. See a lot of these RJs bombing around here. First officer Mike Granger at Mesa Airlines. Going Charlotte to Houston. George de la Paz, captain at Southwest. So you see quite a few CRJs flying around there. Quite a few people are making good use of the CRJ there. And there's just tons of people here on the ground, and well, not tons, but 3 airplanes, but kind of really blend together there. And Iberia, Madrid to London, London to JFK, and Delta 4, and London to Atlanta, Delta 31. So it's interesting to see who's flying here. Oh, here's another CRJ potentially. Yep, CRJ-7 from ETDB to ENGM. I don't know. ETDB is Berlin. I don't know ENGM, but I'm guessing it's Oslo. Just looking at where he is. So lots of people getting out there with the CRJ and flying around. So it's a pity we don't see more people flying in this network. But that's the live map of everyone who's flying right now. Alright, just a couple more miles till we get to our top of descent point here. Just gonna pull up my let's see here, just pulling up my VATSIM, looking at it. No, nobody else flying into Puerto Vallarta today, so it seems to have been a strangely popular airport. I've seen quite a few people fly in and out of it as I've come and gone from it, but today it does not appear that there's anybody else there unless they log in the next 15 to 20 minutes, but as of right now, I'm not seeing anybody as taking off or landing at Puerto Vallarta for the next little while. I think we're going to be alone. Alright, and here we are, top of descent. And actually we have made pretty good time, considering we took off at basically 1400 Zulu. It's only 1753 now. It's only been 4 hours. It's pretty good time. We've made pretty good time down here. The next leg we have on a pilot's life is going to be back up, but not to Vancouver, to Victoria. So we're going to go to Victoria, and then after that we go and do a short hop Victoria to Vancouver, and then Vancouver to Winnipeg. So I'm going to try and combine that Vancouver, Victoria, Victoria, Vancouver, Vancouver, Winnipeg leg into one go, and again see if we can do a quick turn on the ground in Vancouver. See how quickly see if we can get this airplane turned in 30 minutes or less on the ground and get on our way to Victoria. So still got a few more legs left to do. Still going to have at least 5 more streams after this one, or at least 4 more streams after this one before we're done with the PMDG 737 and we move on to Aerosoft CRJ for a little while. One thing I probably should also do, and I've been thinking about it for a while, is I should start adding some failures to some of these flights, because they sort of add an interesting some interesting variety to this flying. You know, it gets very boring when nothing happens. So to add something, like we could add a failure here. I think we have to put aircraft failures, and we can do a random failure at any point in time. We have service-based failures turned on. We also have maintenance that we need to do every once in a while. Still 180 hours, so the next service is required on this airplane. But maybe on the next flight, maybe on the flight back to Victoria, we'll trigger that. We'll trigger the we'll trigger a random failure and see if we can just deal with it. Whatever it is that happens, we'll deal with it. It was kind of fun. We did have that happen on the way to on the way to Orlando, like a month ago, I guess. We had a failure. We had the pressurization system fail in this airplane, and we had to run the checklist, and we had to revert to manual control for the pressurization. It was a bit of a pain in the rear end, but we got it done in the end. But that's, you know, that's the name of the game. Like, aviation's challenging, and every day's a different challenge, and even when things become routine, still stuff can go wrong, so. Alright, so we're going to cross Obrug at or above 230, then we have to cross PR660 at or below 13. And we're going to continue our descent. I believe 5500 was the next altitude after that, was it not? Yeah, 5500, so you know what? Let's go ahead and set 5500. We got no ATC to give us any kind of instructions, so we're just guiding ourselves in there. So there's 5500, we'll hit it somewhere past PR606, and at some point we're going to start decelerating here as well. You really see those squashed engines from this perspective as well. How they had to squash the engine case and they couldn't make it perfectly round because the airplane is just so low to the ground they couldn't have a perfectly round engine without risking striking the engine. Accelerating a bit to kind of keep it below the red, keep it close to the red line. Full speed ahead down the hill. It's a pity we don't get more ATC, but especially with the longer flights, they sort of have to be planned certain parts of the day to conform to my schedule, to conform to daylight hours, because I really hate streaming at night just because it gets so dark so quickly. And the streams often are low enough quality that really you don't see anything, even when I can still see some stuff. The streams themselves, the codecs make it so dark you can't see anything. So the one other thing about flying the CRJ around a bit is hopefully there'll be some shorter legs. We'll be going back to some shorter legs, because it seems like we've been doing a lot of long legs in this month, in this schedule with WestJet. We've done a couple of slightly shorter ones, but mostly it's been some really long legs. Can't even look it up in there, but I can look it up in here actually. If I go in here and go fleet and just find my WestJet 737, you can see what I've done with it. Here it is, right there. won't do it that way. Can I do logbook and see it by aircraft? Let's see here. There we go. So this is so this is the flights I've done in the WestJet 737. So this one was a relatively short leg. Just the Vancouver to Prince George was short. Before that, the shortest one I had was probably Vancouver to Calgary. Wow. So yeah, that was the shortest one. We had Vancouver to Calgary was an hour 13, and Calgary Winnipeg was an hour 48. But yeah, that was the shortest one we had. Otherwise, everything else has been, and then that Vancouver to Prince George. Otherwise, everything else has been 3 hours. This has been a whole lot of very long legs, which has made it a little bit challenging to get it done. So the CRJ hopefully will result in some shorter legs, and maybe we can hopefully stream it more times that we're more likely to get ATC because the legs will be shorter. $2988 set. He doesn't care. We never did do the descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing altitude is 0 feet. Recall checked. Auto brake level 2. Landing data.
VREF 140. Minimums 2988. No. Minimums 720 feet set.
Checked. Approach briefing.
Complete.
Descent checklist complete.
Well, this is one of the things I love about SimToolkit Pro too, is you can see the history of this airplane. So even before I was flying it with a pilot's life, I had taken this particular livery, this call sign,
Cabin crew, prepare for landing.
and I'd taken it around to a whole bunch of different places. So I'd flown from Toronto to Orlando, I'd flown to Vegas, San Diego. So I did a whole bunch of stuff with it before I ever started flying it for quote-unquote WestJet here in a pilot's life. So it's kind of neat to see some of those airplanes. If you go into the logbook, see which airplanes have I flown the most here. Most used. So this Lufthansa 747, I've done tons of flights in that. To and from Frankfurt. I haven't even done tons of flights, but I've done, in terms of certainly flight hours, it's been the most. And that's the thing, is the long haul stuff, the hours add up really quickly. One of the busiest ones I've done,
The cabin is secure.
that's not a long haul aircraft, is the Canadian Express 737. I've flown that a lot, the WestJet 737. British Airways 47, it's gone back and forth to London so many times. Did it for the 777. Air Transat 321, obviously this was 2 months of the pilot's life career, so quite a few hours into that. American 737, I've done a whole ton of flights with that as well, 33 hours, flights all across America with that. So it's kind of an interesting just to see where you've been with these various aircraft, what you've done with them. Air Transat 737, Southwest Airlines 737, done a whole bunch of different short and long hauls around with that one. Yeah, always interesting to kind of see that. Alright, here we come through 10,000, so he's got the lights on. Speed's coming back to hit 250 at 10,000. And we're slowly getting close to the airport, so we fly up this little kind of this valley to the left of this mountain peak here, and then we hook around behind it into the valley where Puerto Vallarta actually is. So let's zoom in a little bit here so we can see what we're doing. Just going to let the FMC continue to slow us down for the time being here. The next speed restriction is MUVBA at 220. Yeah, it would be so interesting to come down here as well when PMDG comes out with their NGX3 and come down here and fly like a similar route in Microsoft Flight Simulator and just do like a side-by-side comparison, do a video of a side-by-side comparison of all the different scenery as you're going by here. and see how much different it looks like in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I mean, it's there. Like, there's farms, there's trees, there's coastline, there's roads. You can see that stuff. There's a town over there. But it's all auto-gen scenery. It's all land classes. It's generically generated scenery. It's not satellite imagery. And the satellite imagery just adds so much because it's there. It's what's really there. You're looking out the window, you're seeing what's really out there. Albeit in a somewhat processed fashion, but in a way that you just can't write enough procedural generation to really capture the randomness of planet Earth. Alright, speed's back down to 240. We're a little bit above the slope here. I'm not too worried just yet. I'm going to pitch down here in a second and hopefully catch it. Here, now we're pitching down again. Got our target speed. She's having a little trouble with the descent now. I'm watching it, I'm watching it. Just starting to come back a little bit now. Just barely. We'll keep watching it. I got the speed brakes if I need them. We're not really too high yet. 500 feet is not the end of the world at this point. But we are getting close now. And actually, approach checklist.
Altimeters.
2988 set. 2988 set.
2988 set. Approach checklist complete.
Alright, looks like we will need a little bit of speed brake after all. We're just not catching that path. Let's go too crazy, just a little bit. Increase the drag a little bit, let it pitch down a little bit more, and we'll be okay. Puerto Vallarta traffic, WestJet 2154 is 20 miles northeast of the field on the Obrug 1 Bravo, transitioning RNAV, RNP runway 22, estimating the field in about 6 minutes. See, we're just passing almost below the level of the mountaintops over here on the right side. Definitely well below those mountains up ahead. They are up to 8,900 and we're already down to 66 here. Let me probably close that speed brake now.
1,000 level.
And let's go ahead and get the next altitude in there, which I think was 4,000. Yeah, 4,000. And what we'll do is we'll also arm the approach mode here. So we've got FMC, we've got glide path already kicked in, MCP speed. So now it's going to try and capture this glide path here, so we're going to have to just let it. There, now it's capturing the glide path, the speed will come back again. I guess we'll actually have to start getting into position for landing here. Check. And what does it say? Drag required after PR 404. Thanks. Thanks, plane. Speed 220. Speed 200 at 404 actually, so yeah, that's the only restriction we have. Okay, that's fine. Just a little bit further and then we hook to the right. Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
Do 10. Flaps 5.
Flaps 5.
Got speed back, 190. We got FMC, we got glide path. Missed approach altitude set. I don't think she's going to slow down too much more without more drag out there. I'll give it another mile or two and see if it's going to do it on its own. We have about 10 miles to go here. We're still doing 200 knots, but we got the speed bug back to 170. It's creeping back slowly here, so just give it a moment. I don't want to use too much drag too early, but
Pack isolated.
I don't know what he thinks I said, but I did not ask him to isolate the packs, that's for sure. Flap 15.
Flaps 15.
That'll help with the slowing down. Ah, fine. Gear down. Gear down.
Gear down.
I don't like to go past flap 10 without the gear down. Alright, I can see the Pappy's coming into sight there now. We're right on slope, right on the glide path. Let's go ahead and get the speed back to 160. Doing fine. We're going to be 1700 at 404, no problem. It'll get back there. You don't have to flash at me. It's trending in the right direction. It's taking some time to get there, but it's trending in the right direction.
Auto marker. Height checked. Missed approach altitude set.
Roger. Flaps 25.
Flaps 25.
Flaps 30.
Flaps 30.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Engine start switches.
Now what are we looking for here? Continuous.
Speed brake.
Armed.
Landing gear.
Down.
Flaps.
Flaps 30. Green light.
Landing checklist complete.
Cleared.
Check.
Landing.
Check.
Alright, that's it. Nothing left to do but land. Let's go ahead and disengage the autopilot. And now it's going to be all me. You can see the nice hotel strip along the beach there off the left side and a little bit on the right side as well.
Stable.
Checked. Getting just a tiny bit low there, so let's just make sure we're staying on target here. Showing all white, but showing just a little low on the VNAV here, so just trying to track that VNAV a little better. And the auto throttle's coming off now, because I find it often suddenly accelerates instead of retarding in the flare during RNAV approaches. So we're just gonna just do the power manually from here. It's pretty much stable where it is. There's not too much problem where it is, so. Oh, so close to perfect there. We were right there.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal.
Checked. Oh, it was so close. We like leveled off, probably like 2 feet above the bloody runway. Son of a bugger. Oh well. No problemo. 60 knots. Reverser's stowed.
60 knots.
Checked.
Auto brake disarmed.
Checked. I have the brakes. Okay to clean up.
Check.
Keep it on the center line.
Master caution. Anti-ice.
Checked. Alright, welcome to Puerto Vallarta. I wonder which hotel we stay at. Alright, welcome to Puerto Vallarta. I realize now all the time we were in the air, never bothered to select the gate, so here we go. We do not need to follow me. We can have Aeromexico handle be our ground handler today. Loading some GSX models, and away we go. So we did miss Charlie. We had to go down to Bravo, but no big deal. Back to the terminal, but here we are. Why are all the lights still on, buddy? There we go, that's a little better. Those are the lights we're supposed to have on. I don't have any view that gets the city in there. It's the only one that gets the hotels in there at all. Back on the center line. Having fun with the external views. Oop. When I'm trying to turn my head, I end up moving the rudder instead. Oh well. Here we are. Puerto Vallarta traffic, WestJet 2154 is clear of all runways and taxiways. Taxi to the terminal. Start the APU, please.
Starting APU.
You know the auto throttle's off. You don't need to flash at us anymore. Alright, we're here. Whew. That was a long one. That'll probably be the last flight stream I'll be able to do for a little while. But for those of you that are interested, this weekend it's Cross the Pond. It will be epic, as always. So please make sure you're here with us. Yeah, see, this is what I do. I keep selecting Gate 6, and it doesn't correspond to what's on the charts. So. Lights and doors. There we go. I moved my marshalling equipment to the where I wanted it to be now. Lights and doors.
Check. Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check.
Good thing I have the ability to push myself back, because getting out of this corner could be a little bit of a
Doors
challenge.
disarmed. APU on the bus.
Awesome. Gate 4. Something else I miss in Microsoft Flight Simulator is marshallers at the gates. You want them to be at I would love it if Microsoft Flight Simulator would let you pick the gate that you want to go to and then put a marshaller there, because they do have marshallers, but they're often not at the gates you want. They only have them usually at a few select gates, and if it's not the one you want, then yeah, then you're kind of out of luck, for lack of a better word. Really feel like I should not be close to that jet bridge while we're taxiing in. Should move it a little farther back, guys. I don't think it actually moves, though. Okay, so we got 3 minutes. We got the APU is on the bus. Ah, stop doing that. Click on the button itself, you stupid piece of garbage. Yeah, no jetways here. He doesn't think there's a jetway. Well, whatever. Well, I guess we won't park there in the future. Now we know. Just wait for him to do his thing. So he's gonna pull up some stairs instead. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, he's resetting the trim. Come on. Shutdown checklist.
Shutdown checklist. Fuel pumps, off. Probe heat, off. Hydraulic panel, set. Flaps, up. Parking brake.
Set.
Engine start levers,
Cut off.
weather radar,
Off.
off. Shutdown checklist complete.
Alright, and that's it. We're here. I think the only thing I need to do to get this deboarding to actually happen here is I just need to open that back door. They won't believe that we can do deboarding until both doors are open. Because it doesn't believe this jet bridge is real. It put its own stairs on there. That's fine, whatever. We are here. That's the important thing. We docked at the gate. The flight is registered as complete. We've just got 5 legs left to go. And yeah, so that, like I said, looking at CRJ operators, if I go into the job market here, I'll be able to apply to them when the time comes. Trouble is you once you accept the job, then it terminates your current employment, so you gotta wait. So Jazz is a potential operator. There's not a whole lot of good Canadian scenery yet for a lot of these airports yet, so I'm not so much leaning towards Jazz, maybe, but I don't know, I'm probably gonna stay away from Jazz for a while. I'm gonna go for probably some of the American airports, especially because Toronto Pearson doesn't exist yet in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So Mesa Airlines is a good one, based in Phoenix. There's a lot of flights out of Houston and Dallas too. There's some decent Houstons and Dallases out there. So big bases in Houston and Dallas. Who else? Envoy would also be a good one. Flying the CRJ. If I can find it. What I should do is I should just uncheck everything that's not North America. It makes it easier to find because I'm really interested in just the North American ones. So what am I looking for here? Envoy, there it is. Envoy is another good possibility. Hubs in Dallas, which is good scenery. Hubs in Chicago, which is good scenery. And then just expanding to a lot of places. A lot of short hops, a lot of long hauls. Not long hauls, but for a CRJ, you know. Dallas to Dallas out to, this is not even San Francisco, this is Dallas to Burbank or something. No, San Luis Obispo. So a lot of smaller airports, so it's going to be kind of fun to visit some of these smaller airports in Microsoft Flight Simulator, find some good scenery for a lot of them, and also hit up some of the bigger airports as well, perhaps. So there's also some Miami stuff, some New York area stuff, mostly based out of LaGuardia. So if we can get some good LaGuardia scenery in there as well, that'd be good. So yeah, lots of interesting possibilities. Anyways, that's what I'm all about. Like, there's tons of interesting possibilities here for flying the CRJs. So yeah. I don't know for 100% sure which airline we're going to go to. I may sort of take a poll on my YouTube channel and see what people think, which airline I should apply to. I may apply to more than one and see which ones accept me. But yeah, because right now Hey, Air Canada wants to hire me. It'd be okay to go work for Air Canada, except for the fact that I wouldn't be able to fly Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that's really what I want to get into now, is the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So, anyways, that's it. The flight is logged, shut down, 62 feet per minute. That's a nice touchdown right there, 62 feet per minute. I love it. Yeah. So that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm definitely going to be doing some streaming for Across the Pond this weekend. So if you're planning on being there, and even if you're not, make sure you tune to my YouTube channel. There will be tons of ATC, tons of airplanes. You get to see some real impressive traffic controlling, because there's going to be tons of traffic. We're actually going to have to really work, unlike the last couple ATC streams I did, which were frankly a little bit boring, just because there was not very much going on. Not going to be the case across the pond. It's going to be the total opposite. We're going to be working some busy sectors, lots of traffic. So tune in for that. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. I hope you have a good week out there. Stay healthy, and we'll see you guys all real soon.